Listen, all of the things going on in LA right now, people are asking, is this God's judgment? Is this man? So I just want to tell you, yes, it's both. More than likely, these are man made fires. That's hard to digest, but there is rampant evil in this world. And it is also biblical that in the end times we would go through things like this. And fire is something big that God allows and he uses for his judgment. I'm not going to say if this is God's judgment because that is not my place to say that. Only God knows what his plans are. Only God knows if this is something that he has brought on the people within LA. But I will tell you, 2 days prior to the fires beginning at the Golden Globes Award, they were joking about LA being a godless city. That is nothing to joke about. But it makes a lot of sense if you know the type of people that are in that community. And I'm not saying it's everyone. No, of course not. But in the Hollywood scene, there are a lot of people that reject God and openly will tell you that. And there's a whole lot of sin going on, and it's all about man and their plans. So I'm just going to look at it from this perspective. But let me just tell you this. I want to read you something and let you decide for yourself. The earth suffers from the sins of its people, for they have twisted God's instructions, violated his laws, and broken his everlasting covenant. Therefore, a curse consumes the earth. Its people must pay for the price of their sin. They are destroyed by fire, and only a few are left alive. The grapevines waste away, and there is no new wine. The merrymakers sigh and mourn. The cheerful sound of tambourines is stilled. The happy cries of celebration are heard no more. The melodious chords of the harp are silent. Gone are the joys of wine and song. Alcoholic drink turns bitter in the mouth. The city writhes in chaos. Every home is locked to keep out intruders. What are your first thoughts? I read that this morning. It's actually in Isaiah. This is coming from Isaiah 24, verses 5 through 10. It talks about when God is going to destroy the earth. I read it this morning and immediately I saw LA burning. Not just that there was a fire in LA, but the description, the evil that is running rampant, that there is no more wine, there is no more merrymaking, there is no more singing. There are people, you're having to lock your homes because people are there to loot with whatever's left. And that people have to pay for the price of their sins. We hear so many things about what's taking place in that specific location that perhaps is trying to be hidden. Only God knows these things. But what I will say is that God uses fire. Now, it's not only for destruction, it can be used to purify. But these are some of the things that the word says. Genesis 19:24 talks about when God rained fire and brimstone down on Sodom and Gomorrah because of the evil that was going on in those two cities. And then 2 Peter 3:10 says this, but the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar. The elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare. So Isaiah and Genesis, that was the Old Testament. That's what was being prophesied that would be coming, and that's what God would do. Now we're in 2 Peter. This is the New Testament. This is Peter telling us, beware, because the Lord comes like a thief and he is going to burn the earth. Why? The earth is going to be laid bare. Everything in it is going to be burned off because this old world needs to go. When the Lord comes back, he is coming back with his wrath to judge the earth and all the inhabitants on it. This is what Revelation says, the judgment of Satan. So let me preface this by saying, when the Lord comes, he's going to destroy the earth. Believers will be on a new earth. Believers are going to be with the Lord for 1,000 years reigning. Okay, that means we are reigning with him. And that 1,000-year reign is going to come to an end. And at the end of it, there will be a population of people that through the tribulation period, the 7 years on earth of God's wrath, the believers that were not raptured, or people that, believers will be raptured out before the wrath and the tribulation. And then there will be people left behind that eventually become believers. The majority of those people will be martyred, as it says in Revelation. But then there will be a remnant of those people that will go into the millennial reign, and those people will have children. Now, time is going to change during that millennial reign, and people won't live to be maybe 80 years old, upwards of 100 if they're fortunate. No, people are going to live hundreds of years, like back in Noah's day. So there are going to be generations of people that come into this world, and even though they will know what Jesus has done when he was born, died, resurrected, come back to earth, did everything that he did, the judgment, and all of the people bowing down before him, recognizing that Jesus is Lord, people will still, because of the matter of the heart, because sin is inherent in people, because of the sin in the world, that there will be people that still reject God. And so Satan will come back out of the abyss where God has had him for these 1,000 years. And he will be pulling these people from all over the world to come together against God. God's going to go like that. And with the breath of his mouth, it's all burned, all gone, no more. He will not win. They will not win. And so this is what it says. When the 1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from the prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, and to gather them for battle. In number, they are like the sand on the seashore. They marched across the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of God's people, the city he loves. But fire came down from heaven and devoured them. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet, those are the Antichrist and the false prophet, had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever. But then comes the final judgment of the dead. So all that have died during this period, all that have died prior that had not already been called up, which is those believers. Then I saw a great white throne and him who was seated on it. The earth and the heavens fled from his presence, and there was no place for them. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and the books were open. Another book was open, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they had done, as recorded in the books. The sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them. That means those that had drowned, those that had been buried in the earth, all of those souls would be brought up to be judged. And each person is judged according to what they've done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. It's all thrown into this burning lake of fire, hell. That lake of fire is the second death. And anyone whose name is not found in the book of life, they are thrown into the lake of fire. Friends, this is so very important. The Lord is talking to us. Whether this is something that he's rained down from heaven, I do not think so. However, I do believe that God has allowed it for a purpose. I do believe that it will ultimately be for our good and his glory, because people are learning things out of this. And I hope that you learn from this, that you want to be found in the Lamb's Book of Life. And the only way to get there is by accepting Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. No one wants to be burned for the rest of their life in a fiery pit called hell. But that is where you are headed if you don't accept Jesus. So take heed, my friends. He's waiting.